Hello everyone, my name is Nathan Lamy, and today we'll be going over some trumpet basics. We're going to be going over good breathing, how to form your embouchure, some trumpet assembly, and trumpet care needs. Things that you need to know in order for you to really get started playing trumpet. So in order to play trumpet well and comfortably, you need to have really good breath support. And breath support comes from the way you sit. Good sitting position is really important for a lot of reasons. It makes you feel relaxed, makes you feel comfortable, and it allows you to play for longer. Now, in order to make a good sitting position, think of it as if you were standing with your knees bent. You can't see them, but my feet are both flat on the floor. I am not crossing them. I'm not sticking one leg out. They're both flat, very comfortable, very relaxed, and my legs are at about a 90-degree angle, and I'm sitting up completely straight. I'm not leaning back in my chair. I'm not relaxing. The body is straight up and down because you want your airways to be open. You want your airways to be straight up and down. So, in order to get a good breath, you want to take breath from here. And sitting like this facilitates that a lot better, because if you're sitting like this and you want to take a deep breath, your body doesn't have as much room to expand. Sitting up straight, I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to show you some of the good things you want to do when you're taking a deep breath. I'm going to turn to the side to show you. If you watch my hand, you can see the way my stomach is going to expand. Now, my stomach expanded out at first, and then as I got farther, it started to expand this way, like wide, and then here began to expand, and my chest began to expand. This is called a low, deep breath. I'm using my diaphragm. You don't want to take breath from the top of your shoulders, and you do not want to be tense when you're taking breath. So let me show you how that would look. Well, while you might get like a similar amount of air, your body gets really tense up in here, and that really closes your windpipe, and it makes it hard to expel your air, and you get less air because you're only filling the top of your lungs. By lowering your diaphragm and breathing deep, you're filling your entire lungs, and it gives you more air, and it makes it feel more comfortable too. The more and more you tense up and release, it's going to give you some fatigue, and it's going to make it not fun to play. Now that we have good breath support, let's talk about our embouchure. The embouchure is the way your lips are set up in order for a wind instrument player to play. A trumpet embouchure is almost straight across with your lips even, and in a straight line, sort of like this. As you can see, my lips are tight, but not too tight. They're pushed together, and I have my jaw lowered on the inside of my mouth. I don't have it super lowered, like I'm not making a long face, but lowered comfortably so that I can have a lot of space in the inside of my mouth for my air to go. Also, you can't see this, but on the inside of my mouth, my teeth are not together. I have my teeth as open as possible up against the back of my lips. This makes it so when my air comes out, it's not meeting a lot of tension or like resistance from my teeth. So, if I was to push air out of my lips like so, it comes out comfortably and it comes out fast. Now, what I just did, I was pushing air out of my mouth through a hole in the center, which is called the aperture. I'll get a little close again to show you, but the aperture is a small hole here where the air is going to come out when you're playing. Now, to practice creating an aperture, you really want to have that. You really want to practice in a mirror. You want to see how small the hole is going to be. You don't want your lips to be flapping and because that's really not creating a good buzz or creating a good aperture. Once you have a good aperture and you practice pushing air through it, you should practice buzzing. Buzzing is the way we get sound through a trumpet because it creates the vibration that the trumpet amplifies. Now, a good buzz is very focused and very forward because your air is moving forward in the same way you'd want the air to be moving through the trumpet. So, I'll model it for you. Now, the more you practice, the more focused your buzz is going to sound. And it might just sound like me buzzing my lips right now, but when you move to putting it inside of your mouthpiece, it's going to make a tone, like so. Make sure when you're buzzing or doing any sort of like lip practice that your lips are wet, because it really facilitates the vibration a lot better. Now, all I'm doing on the inside of my mouthpiece is making the same buzz that I showed you. Now, when you're putting the mouthpiece on your lips, you want to put it on the fleshier part above and below your lips. Your lips aren't very resilient, especially from playing, and if you put your mouthpiece on your lips like this, they don't hold up as well as your actual skin. So, when you're playing, you really want to try and fit your lips in the mouthpiece. Like so. And that takes some practice, and it takes some comfort in getting used to. But the more you practice, and the more you practice buzzing, both with and without your mouthpiece, and you'll really start to hear the difference in your buzz, because it'll go from being very loose and very plain to being focused. And the more focused it sounds, the more focused it's going to be through your trumpet. So it could go from something like to more like. So now that we're ready to play, let's get our trumpet out. When you're getting your trumpet out of the case, it's always a smart idea to put it on a flat surface, preferably the floor. If you keep it on an angled surface or somewhere it might get stepped on or pushed around, it might fall out, it might get damaged other way, and then you might not even be able to play your trumpet. I'm leaving mine on a chair right now so you can see it, but the best place to put your trumpet case is on the floor or somewhere it won't be damaged or the trumpet won't fall out. When you're opening your case, you want to make sure that you're opening the top and not the part where the trumpet is actually housed. In order to tell that, you look for the way the latches are. If they latch up, that means that's where the bottom is. On my case, I also have the handle on the bottom part. So, go ahead and undo the latches, and here we have our trumpet. Now, when you take your trumpet out, you want to examine and make sure that it hasn't been damaged over time, or if it's the first time you're seeing your trumpet, you should check and see if there's any dents or any other damages to it, like scratches, things like that. Dents and other piping damages or missing tubing will make it impossible or make it hard for you to play in tune or at all. But my trumpet is in good working order, and here's a few things about your trumpet. Here's a few of the pieces of your trumpet. Here's the bell. The sound will be coming out of here. Here's the main tubing. It follows through the entire trumpet. Here's the lead pipe, where the mouthpiece will actually go into, and here all of this is your tuning tubing. These three tubes, this one, and this one, are all controlled by these valves. If I press down one of these valves, say this valve, third valve, this tubing here will become open and the air will pass through, which elongates the note and makes the air have to go farther. So if I was to do this, it would actually change the way my note sounded. It works the same way for all three valves. So this one opens this airway, and this one opens this piping. All of these also have slides where if you wanted to tune them more fine-tuned, you can pull these out where the knobs are. But mostly any extra sliding you'll be doing is here with this slide. Here we also have a slide. This is the main tuning slide, where if you're very sharp or very flat, something noticeable, you can hold the bell and move this in or out. This will change the way this will make the piping longer, and it'll hopefully take care of any sharpness or flatness you're experiencing. Also on the main tuning main tuning slide, you have the water valve, and as you're playing, spit will build up in your pipes, and so you want to angle it and blow, and your spit will come out. This makes it so your playing sounds cleaner and not as wet. And when you're playing your valve, or when you're playing your trumpet, you want to keep your fingers here and your pinky on top of the pinky rest. And if we were to start playing, I would take my mouthpiece and I would put it in the end of the lead pipe just like this. And I would put it in very gently and maybe twist it. You do not want to jam it, because it could damage the entire lead pipe and make your trumpet, again, unplayable. Now let's get playing. So as you begin to play, you might notice that your valves are sticky. Like if I was to press this valve down and it didn't come straight back up, or if it took some time, that might mean my valves need oil. There's two really main ways to put a valve oil in. You can either put them directly into the valve itself, or you can put them into the lead pipe and play. Putting it in the lead pipe usually works better because you only have to put it in a little bit and then you play, and as you play, it works its way into the trumpet. You can also, if you wanted to, you could unscrew this and put valve oil directly onto the valve. That you have to be really careful because you don't want to take your valve all the way out, because if your valves aren't numbered, you might have trouble putting your valve back in correctly. Now you want to make sure that you put your valve back in correctly because each tubing goes with the valve. This valve does not match this valve in the same way. So the putting in through the lead pipe is actually preferable. And now we're ready to play. In order to hold the trumpet properly, you want to hold it the entire weight of the trumpet with your left hand. I'm going to turn it over a couple times so you can see how I'm holding it. But the way you want to hold it is you want to have your middle finger here inside the loop of your slide, and the rest of your fingers just comfortably around it however you want to. I, personally, have my fingers here and resting here, and then I wrap my pointer finger around the tubing of the valves. But other players with bigger hands have them down here or any other place, but it's really about comfort because you're holding the entire weight of the trumpet with your left hand, so you want your hand to be comfortable as you're doing it. The right hand is exclusively for playing notes. When you're playing notes with your valves, you want to leave your pinky here. This does not move. It rests on top of the pinky rest. And when you depress a key or the top of your valve, you want to use the tip of your finger. You don't want to press with the fleshy part. Or you don't want to press with the middle part. You want to press here with the tip of your finger so you get a nice good press, nice good feel. Now you want to use that because it gives you better speed, it gives you better control, and using these, it's harder to get notes out because you won't be able to move as fast. So be sure when you're playing to press down like this. Now, when you're playing, you really want to make sure that you're not pumping your stomach in order to make sound, like this. That's a very unclean and unconstant sound because I'm not using my air constantly. I'm pushing it through the trumpet, and as you can see, it's loud, it's unclear, and really it's not good for you because it's going to fatigue you more, and it's going to make it uncomfortable to play. What you want to do is you want to have a nice constant airstream through the entire time. But in order to get shorter notes or to articulate them better, you want to put your tongue in the way, sort of like this. The way I'm going to play a long note and I'm going to play 4 shorter notes, and I'll explain it after I do it. Now all I was doing is I was putting my tongue in the way of my airstream to stop the sound, but I'm not stopping the breathing and I'm not using my stomach to push the air back out. So when it comes to playing the trumpet, there's really two ways that you can move around. You can either change notes by changing the way your air moves, or you can change notes by using the valves. By changing the way your air moves, the speed of your air, you can change like longer distances. So here I'm playing a C, but if I make my air move faster, I can play the G above it. Now, the way I'm doing that is I'm tightening my lips a little bit and I'm making my air move faster. I'm not doing it by pushing harder, I'm just focusing my air more in order to get a higher note. But if I wanted to go lower, I would use the valves. The valves correspond with these tubings, which, as we know, make the trumpet longer. If I wanted a lower note, I would press down one of these valves in any of these combinations, or any of the combinations of them. So, let's say I want to move my trumpet sound down 1/2 step. So I'll play my C, and now I want a 1/2 step below that. I press down my middle valve, which is the shortest length of tubing. The next length is a whole step down. And finally, the third valve is a 1.5 steps, is a whole 1.5 steps. And you can combine them in any way you think. There's 7 possible combinations. So we have 2, 1, 3. Next we have 2 and 1. And then we have 2 and 3. And then we have 1 and 3. And then finally we have all of them pressed down at the same time. And you can do that on any of the higher registers too. So let's say I'm going to start on the high G, or not the high G, but the G above the C I was starting on. I can depress the same way to get notes below that. Now, I'm going to play Mary Had a Little Lamb using my valves, and I'll show you how they work. There we are. I hope this video has been helpful, and I wish you much luck with your playing.